Hey human, welcome back to Everyday Affirmations with me, Blaine Katona. This month, we have been working on our relationship with perfectionism. This is week 3 of this practice. In week 1, we took a look at the book we are reading, The Little Prince. And last week, we looked at our past to glean where perfectionism took root. And this week, we are looking at what perfectionism really is. Science tells us that somewhere early enough that you probably don't remember making the decision, something felt uncertain, unsafe, or unpredictable. And your nervous system, which is remarkably good at finding what works, found something, getting it right, managing the outcome, controlling what could be controlled. And it worked. It produced safety, belonging, love, or at least the closest available version of those things. So your brain got overzealous because it worked and started to apply that solution forward to all of the situations that looked like this solution would work on. That is so intelligent. That is a nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. In The Little Prince, the king only commands what is already going to happen. I get it. If I commanded things that were already going to happen, I would feel like a queen too. Life would feel stable, predictable, handled. The problem is that that is a false sense of safety and a false sense of control. The businessman counted stars. Can you imagine sitting on a planet with nothing but darkness and beautiful balls of gas as far as you could see, and that being the only thing you could see? It makes sense that he then made that countable, manageable, his. That is so deeply human. And it worked for a while until the counting became everything and the sky and its magical vastness disappeared entirely. Both of them started from something real, a genuine need for safety in a world that felt too large and too uncertain. Perfectionism does the same thing. It starts as care, as devotion, as a genuine desire to do things well and not let people down. What the unhealthy version of perfectionism does is it takes those qualities and then it runs them through fear first. It can look different for you, but for me, the language that runs through my head is, what if I don't get this right? What if I let people down? Or what if I get disappointed because it doesn't look like what I thought it was supposed to look like? But slowly, without you necessarily noticing, the care stops being about the original thing you started caring about, and it starts being about managing what the thing means about you. That is when the cost of perfectionism starts showing up. It starts to affect your creativity because you cannot begin until the conditions are right, and the conditions are usually never quite right. It starts to affect your relationships because the people closest to you feel the management, even when they cannot name it. It costs your presence because you are always one step ahead of the moment, preparing for what might go wrong, rather than being in what is actually happening. You may not know this, but my name is Blaine, and I can be a helicopter mom. It is not something I actually want to be, but if you heard about my mother in episode 2 and just the nature of raising Black boys in America, you can start to understand a fraction of why I am the way that I am when it comes to parenting. I want the absolute best for my boys. I want them to live big lives. I want them to pursue their dreams and to be devoted to a craft. I want them to find joy, not just happiness. I want them to be able to look back one day and feel like every hard thing they ever went through was worth it. That sounds like a lot, right? And it is, because underneath all of my wanting is just me from a time when I could not control my own childhood and found a false sense of control in my children's lives, a place where control finally felt possible, just like my mother did. The caring is real, but what perfectionism does is it convinces you that managing the outcome is the same thing as expressing love. It is not. And the gap between those two things is where the people you love the most can feel the most alone. This month, writing these episodes, I cleaned a lot and I cried more and I looked for jobs once, or more than I really want to tell you because my husband is my biggest fan on Spotify. I did all of this because I could not figure out how to be in this relationship with perfectionism while everything was feeling uncertain. I have these big feelings and I needed somewhere to put them, and it's been really hard. It's hard when the thing you love feels too big and too uncertain to sit with directly. I am still working a lot of this out, so I am going to say less than I usually would here, and I am going to trust that the affirmations will carry the rest. In episode 1, where I asked for grace, this is where we are applying said grace. So, with all of this in mind, as we begin to shift our relationship with perfectionism, let's do our best to put this into practice. This week, as you practice these affirmations, try to find ways to catch a moment to insert them in conversations with someone as practice for the identity you are intentionally designing. Or talk to yourself out loud in private. The brain does not distinguish between the practice from the actual conversation. So either way, you will be reinforcing the you that you are becoming. If all of that feels like a stretch now, you can try listening to these affirmations while moving. So walking, cleaning, lightly stretching, any movement helps your brain install this language. So let's take a big, deep breath in. Quiet the mind. Open self. Now, let's begin. I am learning to see my perfectionism as information rather than a judgment about me. I am learning to see my perfectionism as information rather than a judgment about me. I am grateful for the part of me that learned to prepare against uncertainty. I am grateful for the part of me that learned to prepare against uncertainty. I am learning to recognize when my why has changed and to move accordingly. I am learning to recognize when my why has changed and to move accordingly. I am releasing the belief that vigilance and safety are the same thing. I am releasing the belief that vigilance and safety are the same thing. I am learning to trust that the strategy that kept me safe can be updated. I am learning to trust that the strategy that kept me safe can be updated. I am learning to allow my nervous system to receive new evidence. I am learning to allow my nervous system to receive new evidence. I am learning to distinguish between preparation and rehearsal. I am learning to distinguish between preparation and rehearsal. I am grateful for the intelligence behind my patterns, even as I outgrow them. I am grateful for the intelligence behind my patterns, even as I outgrow them. I am allowing new responses to become available to me. I am allowing new responses to become available to me. I am learning to update what no longer requires that level of protection. I am learning to update what no longer requires that level of protection. Until next time, keep affirming, keep believing, and keep pouring your unique magic into the world.